industry to greater heights. I'm delighted to invite our esteemed panelists for today. Yes,
For the company, it's been like almost 12 to 13 years since we've been in the business over here. We are in the field of AV and acoustic design consultancy. Apart from that, we have also branched out to other verticals, which is into IoT, IT, guiding this whole process although I feel there's an ecosystem that exists out here, and we are all part of that, and without one and the other, we are complete. Thank you.
Hello, very good evening to everyone. I am representing Ask Consultants. I'm Sangha Gupta. I'm a co-founder for Ask Consultants, and we have been in this consulting business for the past 15 years. We crossed 15 years. Audiovisual, acoustics, BMS, and of late we started with lighting, facade lighting and landscape lighting as well.
I started from manufacturing and there moved to integration and then moved to consultancy. So from our industry point of view, I have already tasted all.
We started in 2017 in India, and we have been trying to grow and we are growing. So it's just a short brief of us. So we do consulting, that's our primary focus, and it's been quite a good journey for us in this last 6 years.
So your experiences mainly from the real estate side of it. Any other experiences that others want to share?
I think just take us slightly off right now. So I think over the years we've seen consultancy evolve as well. I think, as I mentioned earlier, as part of the ecosystem, I think everyone within their own right, as an OEM, a manufacturer, or even as an SI, system integrator, our objective is slightly different from what it could be from the others. But at the same time, the obligation still remains with the end users, irrespective. The cornerstone to this entire business is, of course, being independent. Having said that, I think half the people in the room will feel that, okay, if we can eliminate the consultancy out of the whole ecosystem, it will be better off without us. But I think they all also recognize the fact that we do add certain value over there, maybe by virtue of not being in direct competition to the other verticals of the businesses of the industry. But having said that, again, while they recognize that fact, the landscape of India has changed over the years, and I think they also, there are, as I said, an SI within their own right, they are also, by being consultant, perhaps we also have the insight or, the roadmap that, every manufacturer has across the industry. Again, from that perspective, I think we can add value from a design perspective. But at the same time, design is not just about picking up certain specifications and certain elements of the entire component from an audio, video, mapping, control perspective and put it together in B1, because that's again
Most of the time, when a project is coming to you, it's already at the beginning stage. Maybe it's the last thing that anybody wants to do. That itself becomes a large challenge. They always are at our doorstep after everything is done and dusted, they just want to just add something to it. So that becomes a bigger challenge to us. That being the primary challenge, then comes trying to safeguard the interest of the client and safeguard the interest and the value of the AV itself. To make sure that you give the right proportion to the client and make sure that there is no dilutions of the design in the process itself. So this is one major challenge that we see within the industry itself. And then today there are so many other elements adding to it, like Madam said, post-COVID. The projects now are becoming more towards, it is becoming an wholesome contract. A GC takes over the whole thing, or an IT person takes over. Nothing wrong. But understanding the nuances of the AV and then doing it is where we, play a major role as consultants. I think, like you said, everybody in the room is much capable of handling what we are handling. There is no doubt. And everybody's interest here is to make sure that we had a good value proposition for our clients. But these are the few major challenges that we see is always, comes in front, and we keep striving to work towards it.
Before answering about the challenges, I would go back to the previous question that you asked. how is Bangalore positioned now. So earlier days, if I can divide a line, COVID, keeping in between, so before COVID and after COVID kind of thing. So earlier days, it was very difficult for us to convince the client, having a consultant who's just preparing BOQ and drawings for you. If I have to tell this in a simple word. So people, Indian clients, especially in our region, it was clients finding it difficult to pay for services. Now services become very important. Earlier days, it was very tough time. How can you charge so much? Man hours, they always still architects ask us to quote on square feet basis, which has no basis for us actually. So we calculate how much man hours we are putting in, and then our intellectual property. So those things are it was very difficult to make them understand about it. But post COVID, it was good for all AV people. Clients started understanding the importance of AV. Work from home gave them very tough time, and they started the terminologies acoustical fencing and sound isolation and importance of DSP, how a mic why mic should be good, connectivity and all those issues. And even in education segment, especially teacher and educator, those people were hell-bent on using blackboard and chalks. So they came out of it. The time has pushed them to use it in and out. Entire thing went on online classes and those things. So that gave a lot of learnings to not only India, entire globe. So after post-COVID, what we have seen is people started talking, understanding this terminology, started talking about experiences, and wherein our importance also increased. And wherever we are involved, industry people are always happy if we are busy, they know something is going to come after a year, which is going to be very big. Because of course consultants in India are still involved when the project value is very big, or unless if it is an experience center. So these two things are getting ensured when you see that consultants are busy. So these two things are very answering your first question. And second is challenges. What we see slowly is AV over IP, which we have been talking about since long. So that has changed the scenario. Now IT people, IT companies are finding it convenience because the signals and the back-end switches and those things they understand now. So that is one thing challenging, challenging from that angle, it is giving more opportunities for us also because they need knowledgeable people now. Integrators also at times find it difficult to convince them. So that is one challenge which is good for us or bad for us. It is up to us how we take it. And second is many IT companies are also jumping into it because of these changes. So adding to what Raja has said, one more thing which I wanted to add.
So challenges, I don't treat it as challenge because consulting is my passion. So whatever is my passion, I can't treat it as a challenge. But yes, like Abdul just said and we were just mentioning. So yes, of course, like we said, the OEMs and the partners definitely, they play a very important role. But if you ask me, I'm talking about the role which comes prior to the partners come. That is the time when the coordination is being done. And as Abdul said, that many times the consultant is onboarded. That was, I'll say it has changed, the scenario has changed, but still there is a time when today also the consultants are enrolled after, they are late entrance into a project. And because of which, what happens that the project is still going on. The partners and the OEMs will come later on, but the project is going on because it's an infrastructure project. These ELB, as I mentioned, there was the purpose of saying it as ELB because he treats it as extra low voltage services. So the importance of acoustics is, as Abdul was saying, it has been understood only after COVID. People have started understanding that yes, acoustics does play an important role. And the AV, they have started understanding what audiovisual is. Otherwise, they used to only understand, okay, एक projector लगा दिया and then you have a speaker and you have a mic and that is it, right? So they now understand, yes, there is a system, complete system on AV. And if you're talking about AV or IP, yes, there is an integration of various technologies, especially in corporates and in government projects. Even the government has started appreciating this part, that yes, there must be a convergence, there must be a collaboration of technologies. And that has improved on challenges, but yes, even today, the client is of the opinion that audiovisual spend on audiovisual is or IT or take it anything, unless he is experiencing it directly. The client himself, the person who is actually spending it, if he is not experiencing it directly, then it is very hard to convince him that it's a requirement, it's a functional requirement of the project, and he must go for it. Because he'll only ask you to just cut down, slash on, take it to the next level, okay, second phase में कर लेंगे, like that. So probably this is the main challenge today that we are facing post-COVID. Although the situations are normal and things are again, at the same boom, but the people who spend, the category of the people who spend have, apart from government clients, that's what I've been facing the challenge. And the clients have started saying that we don't want to spend too much on the technology. So that's where, he doesn't understand the requirement, functional requirement of his internal team. And team as it is wouldn't come and say anything about it. So that's where we really, as a consultant, I really thank the community who's sitting here and who's been supporting us, whether it's the OEMs or the partners, that we try and take their help so that, the owners get convinced and we are out of this challenge. Apart from that, I don't think there is a huge challenge. Anyways, there are challenges for every industry. So that I treat as a part and parcel of the particular technology or whatever offering that we are making. But yes, this is a very major part. That's what my opinion is.
Thank you, Sanya. Would you like to add something?
In my perspective, there could be twofold challenges. One is the fact that if I look at it from a purely consultancy business perspective, I could be redundant anytime. I will be, because the use cases are changing, the way technology is evolving is changing as well. So while that is happening, as Abdul and everybody had mentioned over here as well, we did have a talk about the IT-AV convergence, how they're looking at the system that we are developing from our side, the products that are coming out, they are more like IT boxes any which way. People within, at the end user level, they have their own multimedia teams now who are developing that in-house. So they are taking care of that as well. We become relevant now, perhaps in the larger spaces, a larger meeting room, or maybe a boardroom, or more bespoke space. It could be a town hall or a cafeteria for that matter, or auditoriums. Again, I'm talking about the corporate sector right now. The event spaces sector and also the government sector, education, they still have the relevance of people like us. That's one part of it. Now, at the same time, how do we address that? Is the fact that we need to evolve from our side. But I think that's the next question we'll come to. But the other part is the fact that, as I said earlier, the landscape is changing. The way the business's approach is changing as well. There are entities beyond this community that is sitting over here who are actually taking over our space as well. Who are these people? They are the IPCs, the PMCs, the architects who are actually taking up design and build jobs from their side. So when they take that as a revenue of services, it becomes a very small scope as part of their revenue. And how do we become relevant to them, and how do we make sure that we part of that process where we don't lose our assets? They do not understand the subject matter expertise to what we bring in as either as a consultancy or as an OEM or even as an SI for that matter, or as an industry from that perspective. Now, how do they see the relevance of that? How do they take that into account? Or how do we gear up for that change that is already happening? And I'm sure most of you have seen that around now as to because it is moving towards the design build model. Again, that's where we become redundant. At the same time, while the SIs who are actually consulting the clients as well in their own merit, how are they partnering with these other entities who are actually taking up these projects where they do not see the actual relevance of the scope that we are actually a part of, or the value proposition that we can bring in as a community or as an industry to the end user. End user feels that, okay, there are these GCs who will take care of it. It's a larger remit that they have, larger accountability that they have over there, and so let them take the accountability at their level, and they can partner with. So there may be compromises in that respect, who they partner with, as I think Abdul mentioned as well, and also Raja, where there are people who could be LED guys, electrical guys who can develop as a AV consultant or an AV integrator as well. So how do we create that differentiator between us as an industry and then as somebody who may not know the nuances of what EV is all about? So that is something which is going to be a challenge, and I think that's already happening now. We need to gear up for that. There are variations around that. There are how to address these challenges. Maybe that's probably the next question we come to that.
Since you've already taken away my question, obviously, since we've laid out what the challenges are, maybe it's also a good platform to brainstorm what the solutions could be. Maybe we could start from you.
Actually, challenges I would like to add one or two more.
Please.
Like, of course, Vinit has highlighted that we have seen PMCs and architects becoming turnkey contractor and taking up the entire job. There is OEMs community sitting here, and I'm dare to say this. With technology evolving, the products that are coming up, okay, especially if I take a display or interactive display, it comes up with inbuilt speaker, inbuilt microphone, inbuilt camera, inbuilt wireless. So we consultant who are selling solutions and people are hiring us for complex solution, we are actually slowly getting kicked out of meeting rooms and boardroom requirements. And our role is slowly changing, okay? So it is more than any people are expecting. As I have noticed, Ma'am Sandhya was again and again mentioning ELV consulting. So actually that is a scenario from AV, everything, it is merging as a technology. It includes IoT, it includes access, CCTV, AV, IT, everything, and coming on a same common platform. So our role is also getting changed, and with technology evolving, this will happen. So that is one more challenge that I wanted to add.
Sure, let's move on to the solutions now, because the entire industry obviously cannot get extinct, so let's brainstorm what can be done.
There are a few things that I think we think that is something that we can look at as solutions, but there will be a lot more things to do with this. But most of the time we all think that it's very easy to get into a boardroom and design a solution. That's what, at least, if not our industry colleagues does not think that, but at least the client thinks that design is a no cost. So making them understand every time that as much as creativity is there in an architecture or even in interior design, there is a lot of creativity involved even in audiovisuals. So you do it right, you get it right. The moment you don't put it right, it's going to completely screw the whole thing. And we like it or we don't like it, we are forced to educate the client that this is very important. You take the right set of people. It's not only consultants that you take. You take the right kind of integrator or right kind of OEM, work with them, understand. So making them understand this itself is going to be the primary thing that we can do. Every time we do this, it's going to make it more good for us. And second thing is, like Vinit said, the first thing is we all need to work together. No one person in this can work without the other person. So a good consultant cannot deliver a project without a good integrator or a good OEM. So it's never going to be possible without any of this. And we all have to work together. So until we build that trust, and we all need to understand to each other also that we are somebody who bridges the gap. It's not that we are wanting to work on an individuality. It's not that. So we are here to bridge the gap, and we need to work together to bridge the gap. So once we do this part of education, I think majority of our issues will definitely get resolved. And getting into IT part, yes, definitely we are all moving into smaller boxes and single box doing a lot more things. So relevance of consultant being into a project is shrinking down by itself. So we all need to move into a more matured thought process of how do we make our space in the right way. And we may all at one point just become, technology advisors, that's all. There may not be something called as consultancy itself. We don't know. But that's the way it's moving forward at least. So we need to start looking towards that maturity and move towards that kind of thought process, I think.
Educating the client in a general way for the whole industry.
No, okay, the primary part is first of all, India doesn't work like any other international market. It's so much diverse. You cannot have a single thought process or a single way to work with a client. A client in South India works in a very completely different format, whereas in North India, it's the same. So you can't really formulate a single formula to get, you work with a client, you mature with them, you make them mature with their requirement, make them understand that this is your real requirement, so don't look at something big. This is your requirement, that's it, so let's stay there. So making them understand that itself is going to be a big task. So by then you do that and then you work with them.
Actually, answering the solution part of it, yes, market has been changing that we have been discussing, and the need of consultant is also, of course, the area is shrinking, but then customers are looking for people who are really knowledgeable in terms of technology, in terms of technology deployment. So there are 2-3 evidences of this. One is Raja spoke about educating the customers. It is very much needed. At the same time, they are also becoming learned by themselves.
Yeah.
So earlier days, we used to see something in our office, in the meeting room, and we wish to have that in our home. Nowadays, it is reverse. You have something at home, and you want to bring that technology to office. So now lifestyle is driving the trend in technology. So education half part is already done. Secondly, I have been speaking to the organizer of Avixa, Palm and those kind of similar kind of shows. They have noticed, and everyone has noticed, you are seeing good number of footfall of clients in those kind of events. Even OEMs, whichever events they are organizing or road shows they are doing, there are a lot of customers who are turning to it, which was not earlier days. The things were different. So one thing is of course OEMs are also doing their part of job, and of course we are also taking some initiative. And as a result of this, projects are now experience-driven projects. You need people are talking about experiences, and even at the time of deploying an architect, they are asking them who's your technology partner. So that is the common question all architects have. So earlier days we used to get involved 3 months past the project design. Now very first day clients are asking who is your technology partner. So that is also being addressed. Third thing that we can do together is OEMs, I have attended quite few, all of us been invited for consultants round table with OEMs, and we are very closely discussing the need of the customers and the clients and the change in technology, and they are also working on it. So that is also keeping us ahead of what is coming next, and giving a upper hand talking to customers, and we are giving our inputs to them, developing the technology. So these are some ways, I may not have answered it fully, but yes, some points are there.
So I guess customers themselves are also getting educated on their own in some ways.
Yes.
That's good.
So it's just not that they're getting educated, the next generation are following.
But that awareness,
That's made the difference, because the next generation which is coming up, they are already learned, they are playing with the technology, so they are, we don't have to, I've seen, it's been my personal experience and a couple of clients that when they have a second generation sitting over there, it becomes really easy for us to get to, because then he's fighting with the older ones on our behalf that yes, it is necessary or it is required and we need to spend on this part. So that has definitely, changed the scenarios, I would say. But one major thing that I have seen is that ultimately, the older one is the one who's going to take the decision, right? So what I think is that with the help of the next generation, we need to develop that trust and confidence, and because he can be a source of trust and developing that kind of trust and confidence with the people who are decision makers. Second thing is we need to, our communication skills have to improve. Not only verbal skills, I'm talking about the writing skills, our deliverables, whatever we are delivering. They have to actually, show that difference of having a technology expert on that particular project. We just can't go and just talk about anything. So, what I feel that yes, when we have done this, we have practically done this, it has made a difference. To overcome those challenges that we have. I think these are the two things if we actually do, because one question to the decision makers we need to answer is, because he's not worried about what technology you're bringing and what other functionalities you're bringing. That's the rest part of his team. He's already given that delegation. But what I understand, if he comes to know that yes, this is what he's going to spend and this is how it's going to benefit him, he's ready to spend. So I have really faced. I have been successful in overcoming my challenges. That's a practical experience.
Again, making the customer aware that that's an important.
Yes.
Great. Any last comments?
Okay, so I think first part being that to educate the end users and everybody else, we need to educate ourselves as well as consultants. And we need to know what the market landscape is and how it is evolving. And we need to go back, one, for the end users, of course. At the same time, within the industry itself, we need to share knowledge that we have at our end. So I think how a project is looked at from the client's perspective, because perhaps we are more closer to them while interacting with them, either during the strategy space or the implementation space, or even the other part when the option comes into place as well. So when we can talk to our partners and the industry alike, where right from the OEMs, where we can encourage them, okay, we can give them the feedback why you can't be a part of this project. These are the XYZ reasons. Can you go back and work on this, plug those gaps that you have at your end? Similarly, there are within the SI community, we need to go back to them as consultants and talk to them as to how a project should be approached. Now, and that is where the knowledge comes into play. Project management is a key challenge that we see. And how do you also evolve your business model at the respective levels? That is also key again. We spoke about IoT, we spoke about IT convergence, etc. We spoke about the experience spaces where there are all other bespoke spaces that we are actually designing and also building now. So whether you have that know-how within the business that you can cater to the end user eventually, or are you even working towards that? Are you putting money, time, resources, and spending that kind of energy into that, where you know that this is where you're going to be evolving, this is what the ask of the market is, of the end user is, can you cater to that? So that there are multiple things that comes into play. Get into managed services, that becomes relevant. SaaS model from the OEM side as well, where you can actually tie the clients or the end users to services. Because eventually an end user may also go back to a manufacturer or an OEM and have a rate contract done. He can take the equipment and deploy them to the IT, because most of it is plug and play these days in terms of the corporate space, at least I'm talking about. So what is the relevance that you can create is where the services come into play. Now you get into that space and try and see that how you can evolve your business model at respective level. We do at our end as well. We started with AV, we added our acoustics into that because they go hand in hand. Then we had IT space, whether it's passive part or active part, that would be rated. At the same time, you have these experience centers coming about. You don't have the conventional AV that is being looked at from that perspective. It has evolved, it's gone beyond that. There is AR, VR, mixed reality that is coming to that space. There's robotics, RPs that are also there. Do you, as a business, have the know-how? Have you upskilled your resources who are part of the business? And can they, are they geared up to take up the challenge tomorrow, wherein which there are end users who have their own multimedia or AV teams who are handling that? There are architects who are actually building their own AV team these days, who are actually looking at that as part of their scope of services they are offering to the client as a package deal. You will come in very later on, because once they pick up the job at a cost that you can't relate to, and you will be asked to mobilize or comply to that, where you will be actually looking at your business which is going to be suffering at that point in time. So there are things that you can look into. How do you make yourself relevant constantly keep evolving the business, that is going to be key to how we stick around as a AV community and also as an industry. And that's the thing that I would say from my side.
So I think that also fits in well with the next question, which is you spoken about how the role is evolving for AV and the need to educate the customer. So what do you think is the future of the AV in order to, as in the consultancy, to compete with more mature markets in the future? Where do you think this is going?
Would we say enough about that part of it?
Everybody can come up with your own this thing. Where do you think this is going?
I think I would just summarize in one line or gist of it is that you have to keep yourself relevant with how the market is evolving, how technology is evolving, how the use cases are evolving. Stay relevant to that, evolve your respective business models to cater to that evolving change. That will be key to your success and as that your relevance as part of the industry as well.
Yeah, I think COVID has already proved that things have to change and we have to move on. Yes.
Actually, fortunately or unfortunately, we are into technology domain, which is ever changing.
Changes.
And we cannot be constant, we are not. So, as a consultant, we have already learned that we have to keep learning to be ahead of the time. So that's what I have seen, we have to keep learning ourselves, what is new things are coming, and market research, working closely with OEMs, those things these things will keep on changing. Good part of it is yes, of course we are talking about indirectly that the AV scope might be shrinking, but the AV industry is if you look at past few records, it is between 7 to 11% every year it is increasing, and especially in India when India took the decision of digitalization of the country. So if you see a lot of government opportunities are coming, how we fit into, as Vinit said, we have to keep learning and keep changing ourselves. So those two things.
Anything else from Mark, sir, anything?
We all have to become AI, autonomy, and move forward.
That's
Yes.
another threat, so yeah.
Yes, absolutely another threat. So we keep the threat aside. But I think we come only into the design space as consultants. We don't manufacture, neither we don't integrate. So we are only in the design space. So we need to make sure only our design speaks. Whatever we speak at the end of the day is not going to be a great thing there. So once we start making our design speak, they are going to come back to us. The moment we make sure the design speaks for itself, it's going to be a cycle. So you deliver better. The more you deliver, the more you are wanted. And the more you are wanted, again you do it.
Yeah.
So that's
Makes
what I
sense.
think.
Yeah, I think I would conclude it by saying that, as consultants, because definitely learning, as everybody is saying, is a part and parcel of a consulting role. Apart from that, it is very important for us to actually differentiate between the tangible and the intangible requirements that is the need of the project. And we need to differentiate and make it a part of the design. So that whatever the client is looking at, from the technology perspective, from the cost perspective, from any matter for that matter, we will have to bring that difference and change, because the other stakeholders, we are the ones who will be there from the initial stage. The other stakeholders to show and give the value proposition will come at a very later stage. So we definitely have to, look at these two aspects. That's what I think.
As AI came in the market, so people started talking about so many people will lose their job. Yeah, one way it is true, but then every new thing, whenever it came to market, people felt the same thing. So it is not like you are going to lose the job. You are getting time and opportunity to much better things, other things. So this is how we also have to look at it, especially the consultants, that we have much more things to do, and we have to reach that level.
Great. I think we can now open questions from the audience. Anyone has anything to ask?
Hello. Hi, good evening. My name is Kaushik. I work for a company called Inavate. I'd like to start off by thanking all of you for such wonderful insights. I don't want to start on a wrong note, but the line actually caught my attention because it's, if I could just go back to the previous slide, all of you are such experienced consultants, and the tagline is a little bit accusatory in nature. I mean, as if consultants must step up if Indian Navy is to go up to the next level. I think you guys are already there. I say this with a very humble 26 years of experience, and I've had the good fortune of working for at least 3 of those 4 consultants in this room. So, I'm going back 2016, and we won the AV Awards in London, the only company in Asia to have done so. That was by HMPL, and the design was already next level. We were competing 430 companies in a global level, and we won the AV Awards. So, and I think Vinit mentioned going redundant. I don't think that's going to happen in at least the foreseeable future of our generation. I think there's way so much to be done. I think where the industry is heading to is more of all you guys being more of an experienced consultant as more than an AV consultant, because as technology is evolving, and I just made short notes from what each of you said. And so first of all, the relevance of having a consultant, of course, like any market which is maturing, put in so many years, and I know that yes, consultants are very relevant even now, and they're very important only because it makes the job for SIs like us very easy. It creates a level playing field. There's a reason that the client hires you as a consultant, because you guys know the subject, you are neutral, and therefore, instead of an SI making their own design and competing with another SI with a different design, there's a level playing field, so then there is parity in the whole ecosystem. I dare to say this, but ideally, this panel should have been a mix of, let's say, a consultant, an OEM, an SI, and an end user, for one to experience the whole journey and therefore discuss the problems of what the whole ecosystem goes through. Raja mentioned nuances of AV, and I heard that as nonsense of AV, because that's what happens when we start, please don't take it in a negative sense, when we start educating our customers. So, my experience is that without taking offense, many times we educate the customer for the good cause of educating them, and the next thing, they take your education and go to the other guy and try to apply on them without even knowing the depth of the field or having the dominant of what the education was about. So yes, it's relevant, but I think it's a process that as an industry, when everybody matures, us as an SI, you as a consultant, an OEM, or even the end user, I think it's a process when the demand, the expectation will be different when the whole ecosystem is more educated. Then things become more relevant. I mean, I can just run. I remember in this room, I just saw a guy walking away in Anand Electrical's T-shirt, right? Perhaps that's the guy who this hotel has appointed to do AV for this room, And an electrical company thinks that you need just a speaker, an amplifier, and a microphone. I'm not even going to mention that they're not by these sponsors, but not even the speakers. But I think that's what an electrical company thinks, that it's this easy to do a job or a room like this. Whereas like you guys mentioned, there are challenges of acoustics, there are challenges of how this whole thing will be driven. So with maturity and with, I think these will change, and
So those are great inputs into, insightful inputs into the discussion that we just had. Any other questions? Or are there any questions, since that was important?
If I could just add to what Kaushik was saying, and maybe I'll go one step ahead as well. I think while we look at end users as our clients, I don't think we should shy away from the process of even collaborating with a system integrator, where they feel that they need an SME coming in over there, helping them with a larger or a more bespoke skill, where they may struggle to sort of create a design which the end user is looking at. Maybe because of their lack of experience in that particular domain, or a lack of expertise that they have in-house as a business. We, I think, as consultants should not really shy away from that responsibility also, where they can maybe collaborate with them and give the end user the experience that he's looking at as well. the end user does not really remain an end client for us in that respect. It's again the fact that we can, as an industry, we can help each other out, we can synergize, and we can work with each other and maybe deliver that to the end user as well. And that's also something that we can look forward to. Similarly with the OEMs as well, where if they feel that they're struggling with something that they can put together, because again, we are all caught up in our own stories as consultants, as SIs, as OEMs. So we're looking with our blindfolded approach over there. This is what it is, rather blinkered approach. This is where our focus should be. But there is a limit that is beyond that as well. How can we plug that together? That's something that we look forward to.
Yeah, actually, like Abdul said that the OEMs are organizing these type of conferences where they are inviting the consultants, the system integrators to understand what the client actually needs. So that's a very great initiative, I think, and that's a collaboration where everybody's thoughts are going into. Because finally, OEMs are the ones whom I treat that they are the ones who are going to bring in that technology and which will go to the end users. And I think after this COVID, such a lot of evolution has happened. And today, like Abdul was saying that for the meeting rooms and the huddle rooms, they don't even need a consultant because it's all set up for the client. And I think that has been balanced by the rest of the technology which is coming in, which is, like we're talking about AR, VR, we're talking about light and sound shows today, which never used to happen earlier. We're talking about projection mapping, delivering our content through projection mapping. So that is a learning which is at various levels, whether it is a student, whether it is a historian, or especially in G20 kind of events, these kind of things have happened. So yes, the face is changing. It's not that the importance is going away, but yes, like we cannot be constant, Abdul said, and we have to change ourselves, we have to upgrade ourselves, we have to bring in that value addition. How, that is something we all need to think about. And what is the process? We all are sitting over here, all the stakeholders are sitting over here, and I don't think that is a challenge, if everybody works together towards it.
So I think some of the things that have come up is we need to educate the customer, we need to evolve as an industry, and also there's a lot of scope coming up in the future if we keep all these things in place. Thank you so much, guys. Please give them a big round of applause.